All right, welcome to the Backpacking Podcast. As always, I'm here with my good friend, Jeremiah Stringer. How's it going, Jeremiah?
Yo, what's up, man?
You like the funky music there at the beginning? You like that?
I do, and these, for the people listening, these comments are cracking me up on the live stream right now.
They're all over the place, man. We've got our standard Go Next comment to start the night off. So it wouldn't be a season 3 if we didn't start off with a Go Next comment. So, man, I miss doing this.
Yeah, here we are back again for the newest installment of live streams on the Backpacking Podcast.
It's crazy to think that it's been since December.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, man.
It has been. How was your Christmas?
I lived through it. Survived. I'm just kidding, man.
Are you COVID free?
I'm COVID free. My wife and I never got it, and we've been very blessed. And I got all kinds of cool backpacking gear, so ready to get out and do some winter backpacking.
Oh yeah, man. So I heard you guys got out this weekend and had quite a trip.
Yeah, it was really fun. I would say one of the worst parts was it was like 22 degrees, and so the lake freezing, camped right next to the lake, like probably 30 yards, and the whole 30 yards was just beach. And I was laying there in my hammock. It was like 3 a.m., and I was like, what is that sound? And it was the lake freezing and cracking up against the shore. It sounded like when you drop ice in water.
Nice.
Yeah, and you get that, yeah, all night.
I used to live just near Lake Michigan up in Wisconsin, and there I would go out and sit by Lake Michigan, and there'd be little sections of it where it would do that, and you could just listen to it as you're sitting on the side of the beach.
Yeah, it's probably okay
really cool.
whenever you're not sleeping.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out there to sleep. You're probably right about that.
Yeah,
you're
but enough
right
about me.
That.
I want to talk about today's guest.
I know, man. So, like, we decided we wanted to start off with a bang this year. And so we are kicking things off with a guy who is an OG backpacking YouTuber. Not only that, but this guy, his entire backpacking career is on YouTube.
Yes.
Do you know anyone else like this?
No, they come rare, man.
They do. And I think Big Duke is letting it out of the bag right now because he says Sintax77 is my hero. And tonight, coming onto the live stream is Sintax77. How's it going, man?
What's going on? How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing real good. We got a lot of people excited to talk to you right now.
All right. Nice.
So I'm going to go ahead, let you guys know if you are on tonight and you want to ask questions, ask away. That's what he's here for. But I want to ask you a question right off the bat.
All right.
So on your website, it says that you took your first backpacking trip in 2011.
Yeah.
And you videoed your first backpacking trip.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's how it started. There was no plan. I just filmed it for my friends.
That's
So,
crazy.
For some reason, people watched it. So I said, all right, I'll film another one. And now it's been 10 years or 9.5. Yeah.
what got you in the game, man? What were you thinking? Like somebody introduced me to backpacking, but how did you discover it? And then what was going through your head back in 2011? You're like, I'm going to record this.
Um, I don't know why I recorded it. I'll tell you, I don't even think I wanted to go. To be honest, I had never gone before. And my friend Mike, who's been on the videos since, just came up with this idea because we had some vacation time and it was two couples and we were going to go somewhere together. And he said, "Oh, we're going backpacking." I did it once when I was in the Boy Scouts, like whenever. And I was like, "Okay, I have no gear. I have no idea what you're talking about, really." Um, but I just kind of jumped head first into it. And for some reason, there's actually some really cringy videos even before that one. For some reason, I just started filming us preparing, like we did like a little car camping to use our gear and then just playing around, just to have some memories. And then we went up to New Hampshire and filmed it and threw it on YouTube. And then I got the bug, I guess, for both. For backpacking, I ended up obviously really enjoying it. And I went back within a matter of months for my first solo trip because I just wanted to get back out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of love at first camp.
Yeah, I loved it. And it definitely didn't hurt that I went to New Hampshire, which still remains my favorite backpacking locale, I think. So I really got hooked. Yeah.
What did you use
Huh?
when you're filming that first trip
Yeah.
back in 2011? I mean, there were some okay smartphones and that kind of stuff, but did you go with the GoPro or you just film with a potato or what?
Almost a potato. Do you remember the Flip
Yeah.
Minnow?
Yes, I've got one of those.
Oh.
And you could get your own picture, your own photograph, like printed on it, and
Yes.
that was the gimmick. That was 720p. It wasn't even 1080.
It had the little USB thing that popped out of the side.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That was it. That's what I used. And I think by the time I did the solo video a few months later, I had bought like a Sony Handycam with the flip out screen in like 2012, I guess it was. Yeah.
And
So,
what's it evolved into now?
so it got overcomplicated for a while. I was using like ridiculous cameras with manual focus and manual exposure that should only be used in a studio setting and should never have been in the woods. And then switched to a DSLR or style Panasonic for some fancier lenses and stuff like that. And then I completely reversed in like the last 2 years, and I said screw it, and I just bring a GoPro now.
Nice.
I was occasionally still bringing the DSLR style camera and keeping it in the pack for the occasional like fancy shot. But I found myself not even breaking it out, and it's not waterproof and all that stuff. So I just walk around with the standard stock GoPro. That's it. Yeah.
Well, we got a guy who's wanting to ask you a question. It's Uptrail71. He says, "My favorite podcast guys to watch on YouTube." Thank you for that.
Hey.
Syntax, when are you going to come up to my area? How many times have I asked you this over the years? LOL.
Hi, Bob. Yeah, he's been asking me or suggesting Michigan for quite some time. It's just tough for me because it's right on that. It's a little too far of a drive even for me. I think we're pushing into like 12 hours for me to get up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like I probably should just look for a flight deal to Detroit sometime. Not that right now is the best time for that, or maybe it is. Well, I'm coming, buddy. One of these days. It's cold enough up there, that's for sure.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
Dude, you are no like you're not. How do I put this? I watched your last video, which got like 1 million views of you in the snow.
Yeah.
So you definitely have some experience in that snow.
Yeah, which is funny because in real life I get cold really easy. I hate it. Like my wife asked me to go for a walk before the podcast, and I kind of cringed. But then I guess if I'm like mission mode, I'm all about like, let's go somewhere where it's below zero. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah, I'm that way too, man. I'm okay. Like I was telling John, it was so cold on our trip over the weekend, but you got the right gear. But then my
Yeah,
wife
like
was
you
like,
just kind of succumb to the situation, and it's really not that bad after hours of being out there. And like
Yeah,
you said, have the
it
right gear.
becomes normal. It becomes normal after a little
It
bit.
normalizes.
So
Yeah.
we've got some comments coming at you here.
Alrighty.
Goat,
Goat.
this man's videos changed my life.
Dramatic and impressive.
Legend.
Wow. Really pumping my head up today, gentlemen.
They are. We got Sintax is the best YouTube backpacker at taking the viewer along.
I'm glad I paid for all these comments. This is working well.
I told you, man. These people are all about it, man. Let's see if I can find another one. Oh, here's just a good question for you.
Okay.
Syntax, what's been your favorite part of your creative process, filming or editing?
Editing.
Why is that?
I just love editing. I think that's backpacking and editing are my two passions, hobbies. I just think that's the most creative part of the process. That's why it's funny to me when people offer like services, like, I could edit for you, or you ever thought of getting an editor? And I'm like, if I was truly an interesting person where it was just about pointing a camera at me, that'd be great. But the whole point of the videos is that, it's the edit. So if you change, like I could give my exact same footage to somebody else, and it very well might be a better video when they get done, but it would be a completely different video. So
what inspires whenever you're making these videos? Like my goal is always to, I'm trying to stay straight to the point. I have some vision in mind, and I watch your trip videos, and they're completely different than my creative style. I watch. I try to become an expert on every guest we have on the show. So as I'm looking through your videos, I'm like, okay, these videos are over an hour. So I'm investing time into watching your videos, and they're really good. But what inspires that the time mark and how much footage you're using in there? Because obviously you could cut it down or you could make it longer. So how do you find that sweet spot?
I mean, it's tough. It's definitely video to video. It really depends a lot. And I'll try to alternate. Some videos are going to be gear heavy, where I'm talking ad nauseum about the difference between different fuels in a winter backpacking stove. And then the next one, it might be all more about the scenery. You're still going to hear me blabbing for an hour, but it might be more about scenery. So I kind of take it on a case by case basis, but I've pretty much accepted that that's my niche, is just making, I only really put out one main video a month. I pretty much just make a feature length, like movie length film or video each month. So I'm comfortable with that hour to even an hour and a half range. That doesn't bother me as long as I feel like it's got the flow. If there's really nothing going on, like, all right, it'll be half an hour. I'm not going to force it to be an hour by leaving stuff in, but it's tough. It's just each one seems to, you just got to have kind of a story arc to it and some sort of conflict and then resolution at the end, ideally. And I find it's really hard to get that done in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I believe that. Well, and if you're doing it once a month, that means once a week you can watch 15 minutes of it, and
exactly,
then you're ready for the next video. So that's actually not too bad, considering most of us are doing a video a week.
Right.
And
yeah,
so yeah,
minutes I'm about par, and that's why I tell people, like, no offense taken, watch it in 4 or 5 sessions, and I think a lot of people do.
Got another question for you, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Why is West Virginia your favorite place to backpack?
West Virginia. Well, I don't want to break any hearts, but I think I would have to say my favorite place to hike would be New Hampshire, but I do love West Virginia. So if this person's from West Virginia, don't unsubscribe. But there are a lot of reasons I love West Virginia, and it's probably similar to New Hampshire in that almost all the camping down there is very it's lower regulations. There's rarely permits to get or crazy regs about where you can't camp and designated areas and all that stuff. And at least the spots that I'm going in West Virginia, it just feels so remote compared to, say, over in Shenandoah in Virginia,
Oh, yeah.
where it's madhouse.
Another question for you. What is, and this is one I was going to ask you, so I'm glad somebody else put it up there, but what is the origin of the name Sintax77?
Okay, it's my original Xbox name, which I haven't played in a year, but feel free to send a friend request. My original Xbox name, I was into computers a lot. I guess I still am, but I just wanted syntax, like Syntax, just a computer reference. And then it was taken. So then I said, I'll change the I or Y to an I. This has nothing to do with backpacking, unfortunately. I'll change the Y to an I. That didn't work. I added a 7. That worked. 2007 or whenever YouTube came along, I created an account. I'm lazy. I used the same ID. Somebody already took it. Add another 7. There you go. And it's just like sevens.
That's great. So just kind of a whatever kind of name, really, more than anything else.
And you got to remember, back then, nobody had aspirations of YouTube being like, you're going to have a channel. They didn't even call it a channel. I created an account just to watch videos, and then I put videos up randomly. That's why you can tell an old school YouTuber when he has a goofy tag name like that makes no sense, because he probably created an account back in the day when nobody thought that there was such thing as like marketing and having an actual channel. I'm stuck now.
Does anybody in real life call you that outside
No,
of the YouTube realm?
no. And it's funny, like when I hiked with, like when I hiked with Kyle from another YouTubing channel. I think it was him and then one other guy I hiked with. They were like, should I call you Syntax? Like, please, God, no. That would be really uncomfortable in real life.
You know, that's funny because I actually changed my channel name for that reason. Like,
really?
My channel name used to be JK is Hiking.
Okay.
And I would see people on the trail and they'd say, what's up, JK is Hiking? And I'd be like, that is totally not my name. Right. And so I was like, you know what? I'm changing it to my name. So I literally changed my channel name for that reason only, but I'm not like 10 years into it like you are, where if you changed your name, everybody'd be really confused.
Yeah, it's mine now.
We were talking to Darwin, and he was saying that you know, people say on the trail pretty much like it's his last name. All one word, Darwin on the trail, every time they recognize him too.
Well, he said that originally he had to put a first and last name. And so on the trail was what he used as the last name.
Okay.
And so that's kind of how that happened, I guess. It was just a funny story. So question, what are your top 2 or 3 fast food cheeseburgers?
Fast food burgers. All right. Yeah, that's easier than favorite burger place, because there's a lot of one-off places. I probably, all right, so after a hike, a lot of times I'll go to a fancy local place if I can, and then not gonna lie, there's a lot of times that I just grab a burger, fast food on the road. I think I like Wendy's, but I would say I like Wendy's hamburgers, fast food, the best, but realistically, they don't show up that often on these rest stops, so it's probably McDonald's that I end up getting the fast food burger from.
Can you tell us the story behind the whole cheeseburger top deal after your hikes?
Yeah, it's another thing that was just totally random. In that first solo hike video, because the one I was talking about before with my friends, I wouldn't say that's the first like my style video. It was done a little different. When I did that solo video, that's pretty much the format I've stuck with for ever since. And for whatever reason, I was just truly like, I was hungry as can be, and I had a cheeseburger in my head all day. I don't think I mentioned it on the video until the end, but I was just obsessed with getting done and getting a burger. And I just randomly said at the end of the video, it's cheeseburger time. And then I was like, and then people started repeating it. So I was like, all right, I think I got a tagline here, and I can always eat a burger after a hike. So there you go.
You got t-shirts and everything, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you did a really good job with that one. So on your last trip to Harriman State Park in New York, you seemed to get caught off guard with the heavy snow. What happened?
Complacency. Complacency. I always feel like you're the best at backpacking, like right after you get out of the novice zone, right? Where you're prepared and knowledgeable, and you still are worried. And then you get worse and worse after that because you're just like, yeah, I got this. So I saw the forecast said snow, but I knew they didn't have a ton of snow base up there yet. And it's not, that trip wasn't terribly far from my house. It's probably one of the closest ones I've ever done. So I was just like, okay, snow, fine. I mean, that's cool. That'll be fun. Interesting for the video. And I ran into one other person on that hike and mentioned that I was staying out for 2 days. And he was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. He was like, what are you going to do about the 1.5 feet of snow? And I was just like, yeah, okay. I had no problem with it. So it was just like, okay. And then it started dumping at like, I guess 4:30 p.m. And I was like, I think that guy was right.
That's
No
awesome.
snowshoes, no gaiters. Let's do it.
Oh man. So
What-
were you wearing boots or were you wearing shoes?
I was wearing boots because it was cold. So I brought my insulated boots, so that worked out.
Okay.
But yeah.
What's the weight look like on a trip like that? You know, a winter trip. I don't think that you had snowshoes or gaiters or anything like that on this trip, but it can get pretty extreme. How do you even care about the weight or weigh?
So I've been doing a thing lately. I still love ultralight backpacking. A, because it's comfortable, and B, it's just a fun hobby. But I also have been really enjoying just seeing how stupid heavy I can get recently, which is fun to anger some of the ultralighters who who like to brag about not being fit enough to carry weight, which is fine. Again, I'll carry a 7.5 pound pack. Like, I'm all about it. But then I'm also like, well, why don't I test myself? And let's bring a fry pan. Let's bring a stove. Let's bring some real food.
Let's bring cast iron with us while we're at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't quite gotten cast iron yet, but I don't know the actual weight, but I guarantee it wasn't something stupid in the 30s. I mean, on that trip, I brought like 3 grilled cheeses and, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I noticed the grilled cheeses. Your wife surprises you with food. What's that about?
So I came up with the idea, not that it was that inventive, but I was like, I want to bring a grilled cheese. This was like a year ago or two. And I really enjoyed it. And then she was like, oh, I'll just make you some surprise grilled cheeses. So I was like, all right, that'll keep it interesting. So we had some hot pepper ones in there. We had an Asian style one. Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife packs my food for me.
Yeah. Well, I noticed your wife used to do a lot more trips with you. Is she still doing those with you, or has she backed off on that a little? Or
she was in the last backpacking video before that one. We did a fall trip. She typically just doesn't like it when it's cold. And the summer just seems to fly past so fast. And then this year was weird anyway.
yeah.
With the pandemic, I believe that we might be having. So no, she still gets out, but with work and stuff, she not quite as much as she wants to.
Yeah. Somebody was wondering when you're going to take Denali out again.
He's in the same boat. That is not a cold weather dog. So probably if you're going to see him, it'll be probably not until April. But he'll go with me. The thing is, a lot of times I do solo trips, which people seem to enjoy the most, and I love doing too. And I usually, if I leave my wife at home, she likes to have a little company, so the dog stays with her.
That makes sense.
Bailey K is asking a question that I was wanting to know about, and it's basically about you traveling, like how you get away from work and that kind of thing. I've noticed that a lot of your trips can be very far away. I remember watching, I think, a Red River Gorge trip, which is really close to where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And you like drove, I don't know, 9 hours or something crazy. And then you slept in the car for 2 hours, and then you're on trail at daylight and you're like, let's go. And then you got back in the car and drove home.
Yeah. So I've gotten a little less crazy now where I'll grab a hotel. I'm being a little more adult about it. But if you really look at my trips, none of them are that long. I mean, most of them are designed where you can, if you like that area, you can follow along and you can get it done in a weekend or a 3-day weekend if you take off on a Friday or a Monday. Back years ago, I was totally crazy. I would do a 2-day trip in New Hampshire with just my Saturday and Sunday off. I would leave work at 4. I would get, I'm going to leave at 4 today. I would get changed in the bathroom. I would hop in the car. I would get to New Hampshire by like 1:30, 2 a.m. Sleep in my Volkswagen Golf, hike.
Bro.
Do one night, come out. I don't know how, I can't believe I used to do this. Do one night, come out, get in the car, and just go right back home.
We've got a friend that's on here right now. His name is Miyagi. I just saw he was on here a little bit ago. He still does that. And
Really?
he's like in his 40s, man. And that dude, he'll drive anywhere. I mentioned we were going to go to Grayson Highlands. He lives in Wisconsin.
Oh.
Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." Just drove from Wisconsin down to Grayson Highlands to go backpacking with us. And so yeah, man, that's just crazy stuff. I bet when you got home, your wife was ready to talk and hang out, and you were ready to just crash.
That happens sometimes, for sure. Yeah.
Do you have
Well,
to
yeah,
convince
but one
her?
thing to understand is, like, for me, I enjoy driving through those scenic areas a lot. If you don't like driving, then no, it's probably your worst nightmare. But for
Yeah.
me, that's half the trip is getting there and all that. So
Do you ever have to convince your wife? From what I saw in the videos, it seems like she was having a lot of fun, especially with the pup. Do you ever have to convince her or ask her if she wants to go or like coax her into it? Or is she, as long as it's fair weather, she's like, all right, I'll make you grilled cheese. Let's go.
yeah, she's down. Her only thing is usually just a schedule thing, like I was saying. Um, like that last trip that she was on, I guess it was a couple months ago now. It was October. That was totally her idea, the location and
Uh,
everything.
That's awesome.
So I was like, okay, I'll bring the camera. Let's Good idea. Let's go.
Dude, I felt so bad. I felt so bad whenever that sleeping pad had failed. I don't. It was something like it was leaking out just the valve stem. There's not really anything you can do except slow the leak. But I was like, bro, that has to be brutal.
My favorite comment on that video was, imagine bringing 40 pounds of backpacking gear and still sleeping on the ground. Yeah, yeah, that's
Oh,
all that stuff I had. I should have had 2 sleeping bags.
oh my gosh. So, you have any plans? This is Jamie Hastings. You have any plans to go back to Linville Gorge anytime soon?
I would love to. Actually, I'm glad you made that comment because for whatever reason, a lot of times that doesn't instantly pop in my head, but it's really no worse for me to get there than it is New Hampshire drive wise. Um, so I don't know. I'll have to get back down there. I wonder what it's like in the winter. There you go. The gears are turning.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we went in the fall. We hit it at peak foliage, me and some of the
Man.
other guys, and it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, it was like we parked at Table Rock. Have you parked up there?
No, I think I usually go from what is it, that Wolf Pet Trailhead.
Mm-hmm.
And then last time I parked at the visitor center.
Okay.
So maybe I'll have to try out Table Rock.
Yeah, you need to go up there, man, because we're like, I don't really know. I was kind of like you. I didn't do a whole lot of research, and I'm just like kind of trusting that my skills are going to make it, get me through. And
Yeah.
then, like 2 minutes in, view after view after view,
Great.
absolutely gorgeous day. Linville Gorge is the bomb if anybody hasn't been there.
It's amazing, and I think it's really underrated. You don't see it come up that often. I think because the Smokies aren't terribly far away and everybody's just magnetized there. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's an
that's
awesome
probably right.
spot.
Well, we got a friend named Jason who is a diehard Red River Gorge guy. And he even told me, he goes, I love the Red River Gorge, but man, the Linville Gorge is just something
Yeah,
else.
and the amount of trails they have there is absolutely insane. Unofficial trails, but there's it feels like hundreds of them. You
Well,
can
I'm
you
not surprised.
Yeah,
So,
and you get the ridge, like the ridge tops and the bottoms on each side of the river. The chimneys, oh my gosh, dude, that was awesome. Like laying on my stomach, looking over the side of 200-foot cliff.
it's pretty
Checking.
crazy.
Yeah, go ahead, John. Sorry, what were you saying?
oh no, you're good. I was going to say, JR Hikes was wondering, do you have a preference, hammocks or tents?
Oh, definitely hammocks. Definitely hammocks.
My
Although
man.
people have noticed for variety, um, I've been incorporating a lot other non-hammock stuff in there just to keep things interesting for myself and probably for the videos. But definitely a hammock. I think it's the most comfortable, it's the most versatile, and I can't beat the weight. I mean, you can get a really minimal tarp tent kind of thing, but yeah, I love the hammocks.
What's the go-to?
Go-to hammock,
Mm-hmm.
Dutch wear half wit is what I'll grab 90% of the time, even in the winter, because I can always just pull a sock over it to cut the wind down. But that for people who haven't heard of it, it looks like a netless hammock, but it just has this hammock that goes down maybe to your chest that drapes down. So you want to use it with a quilt because it kind of connects with your quilt and keeps the bugs out. But it's stupid light. It's like 10 ounces, something
Oh
like that.
wow, that's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
That's nice. I found that sleeping in a hammock is warmer than when I sleep in a tent.
I
Like,
would agree with that. And I think a lot of people are surprised. They think it's colder.
yeah,
Not if you're doing it right, because you're completely like cocooned, and there's no rolling over and, the
yeah,
quilt off or anything. You're in there.
absolutely.
I was telling some of my friends earlier today about this trip that we took, and that I don't know if you heard me at the beginning talking about that water freezing at the lake,
Oh yeah.
but it was like 20, 25 degrees, and they're like, how in the world did you stay warm? And I was like, I mean, the hammock with the 0 degree under that is like accurately rated and a
Yeah.
10-degree top quilt. I was
Yep.
like, I was super warm, you
Mhm.
know, and you're off the ground. It's like being suspended in just a warm, unfortunately feathered hug.
Yeah.
It's great.
Gotta love a good hammock.
Yeah, you do. We got a question for you. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but it looks like Sir J Mac wants to know, what tips do you have for those of us new to solo backpacking?
Solo backpacking. All right. So assuming you've done some backpacking trips, but you want to jump into doing it yourself, I typically tell people, I guess this is what I might tell any new backpacker too, but like maybe instead of a loop hike, do an out and back, because you're going to have more opportunity to, I don't know, if when you're solo, there's a lot more opportunities for be in a lot of trouble if you forget an item. Whereas if you're with a buddy,
Yeah.
oh, well, I have that, or like, here's my lighter, or whatever the situation may be. Um, so if you do an out and back hike and you're not too over the top and ambitious with setting your mileage, I would do something short where if you find that things aren't going quite the way you want, you're not trying to complete this whole loop that you will convince yourself to continue doing. You can just set up tent a little earlier and bug out the next day, and maybe just do a single night. You'll be surprised how fast you get used to it. Um,
You basically just shared all the things that I was too dumb to do on my first solo trip. I basically decided I was going to do 32 miles
oh, good.
on an overnight. And
Single overnight?
yeah, it was a single overnight. I was in the midst of through hiking the Sheltowee Trace, and there was a section I had to go back and get. And it was from this area called Yamakra, and I was hiking up to Cumberland Falls. And it's about 32, 33 miles, something like that. And I was doing it as an overnight. I only had 2 days to do this because that was just what I had. And that was my first solo trip. So it was 19 miles the first day,
Ooh,
and then the other 13 the next day or whatever it was.
ouch.
And
Did it?
dude, it worked out well.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're sitting here going, make sure you do short mileage and make sure you can get my car was 32 miles away from me. My car was dropped off at Cumberland Falls, and I was dropped off south 32 miles. So it was get to the car or good
Okay.
luck. So yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in what you just said. I just want to point that out to everybody. A lot of wisdom in what you just said.
Dude,
But
Hunter and I just did that section, and it was wrecking me. We did like an 18-mile day and a 17-mile day, and my backpack fully loaded out and everything was like 20, 25 pounds. I was like, man, I am light this trip. Multiple days worth of food, liter and a half of water, 20 pounds. Psh. Bro, that 18 miles was a butt kicker on that section of trail.
oh, you did the section north of Cumberland Falls, which is like I think on the hiking project it's listed as a double black diamond trail.
Well, it was hard.
So okay, so Sintax, have you ever been, or Sean, not call you Sintax.
Sorry, we're on YouTube. It feels totally normal right now.
Oh, okay, feels good. Okay. Have you ever been approached to do television, either your own show or something like Alone?
No. Actually, some rep did years ago send something about a loan. And I was like, oh, no, that you don't want to see me do that. or attempt to do that. I'm sure if I pursued it, they would have figured out very quickly in the interview process that they're not going to fly me into the woods anywhere for that kind of experience. But no, other than that, and I don't even know how serious they were. No television prospects in my future.
Have you ever had anything catastrophic happen on your solo trips where you're just out there and you're talking about there's nobody to depend on? If you forgot a lighter, you ain't lighting anything.
No. Luckily I've had some really dumb things happen to me, but thankfully they've been on trips. All of my major injuries have been on trips where I'm with other people. I like to think that's because I'm smart and I don't push the envelope when I'm alone, but I'm sure it's pure luck. So I've never really, like, injury wise, had anything crazy. I'm trying to think of like forgetting an important piece of gear. I've definitely forgotten minor items before, but nothing really crazy other than just like weather situations, or like that Linville Gorge trip where it was just like, I downloaded like gigabytes of GPS data for that place, and I still got to the point where I was like not comfortable with the navigation, and I turned around and it was pouring wet.
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, morale wise, that was pretty low.
So let me ask you this. There was actually somebody, let me pull it up here. Somebody actually asked the question. Let me see if I can find it, because it goes with kind of what you were just saying just now. What was your least favorite hiking, backpacking experience?
I don't think there's any trails that I ever like hated or anything like that. My least favorite, probably when I fell and broke my face open in New Hampshire. That still ended up being an awesome trip. I had a blast. But like, if you have to make me pick my least favorite hike, it's when I almost knocked all my teeth out, but thankfully turned my head and knocked myself out on a rock with this part of my face, or this one. I have a scar somewhere.
I've never seen that video. When
Yeah,
was that?
tell us about it.
It's called That Time I Hiked with a Broken Face.
Appropriate title.
That is awesome.
It's from 2016. I mean, it had somebody falling and getting injured. Usually they love that stuff on YouTube, but it's not a very popular video. It's not a huge one. But if you want to see me really hurt myself, that's a good one.
Well, we've
yeah.
got a buddy named Lance, and he's asking a question here. He says, have you ever been legitimately scared, like the time Mike froze his sleeping bag? He seriously could have died.
I wouldn't have let him die. No, I wasn't even scared then. I had a 0-degree quilt that unbuttons that I totally told him, you sleep in the middle. We're both going to be under this. We'll both be under this quilt. The guy had a down suit. I guess he just doesn't like me as much as I thought he did, because he threw me down on sleeping under the quilt with me.
Dude, body heat. That's the best way to stay warm.
Absolutely. But if he started going like hypothermic, I would have forced him to do a little spooning.
I was going to say, are you the big spoon or the little spoon?
I probably would have went big spoon because he would have been unconscious.
There you go. That's a good call.
So John was talking about earlier, you filmed your first trip and you filmed a ton of trips. Now, have you filmed every single time that you went backpacking, or do sometimes you just sneak away and say, this one's for me?
Oh, as far as filming them?
Mm-hmm.
No, there is only one backpacking trip that I've ever not filmed, and it was Dolly Sods, which I'm fine with because I think I have 5 Dolly Sods videos. And it was, speaking of Mike, I had went and I filmed the backpacking trip video, and I just released it in Dolly Sods. And he called me, I want to say like a couple weeks later. Him and his son were supposed to go backpacking up in New Hampshire. The weather was terrible. He changed his mind last minute and said, Dolly Sods, you want to come with us? We're leaving this afternoon. And I was like, sure. I thought about it, called him back, and I went. So totally last minute trip. But I had already filmed it like a couple of weeks ago. And I knew, because it was last minute, we're just going to do exactly what I just did for logistical ease. That's the only time, because I was like, nobody wants to see that 2 weeks in a row.
So for you, basically backpacking and filming are kind of like synonymous. It's just a part of your backpacking experience.
Yeah, and I had no plan to do either. They both just kind of happened. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Maybe I was just looking for like assurance there because John and I do that all the time, you know. But we also I mean, I'll try to get out, 6 to 8 times a month or something crazy like that. So you don't have time to film and edit all the the little one-nighters that are around the house and that kind of stuff for me.
Right. Yeah. I'm not doing like showing the day hikes or like stuff like that. But if anything, I mean, unfortunately, it shows you I'm not nearly as experienced as you think because all the videos, I mean, that's all the stuff I've done right there as far as real backpacking trips.
That's
Well,
a
I
lot
was
of
gonna say,
experience.
it's over 10 years, man. Like,
Yeah.
you realize
Yeah.
this is 10 years you've been doing this now, and like that's a lot of trips.
Oh, I know. But it's funny to me sometimes because people will be like, I really envy what you do. Like, you're awesome at this and whatnot. And I only got out 8 times last month instead of 6. Since I'm glad I got your videos to watch, and I'm like, I've gotten out 8 times in the last 8 months. But you know,
So somebody asked a great question. It's Keith S. He said, "Have you ever thought of doing a blooper reel video?"
I don't know. I mean, if anything stupid happens to me in a video, like I assure you, I show it. So, uh, so unless you're talking about like, I mean, I don't do scripted, so there's not going to be like a lot of like flubbed lines or funny stuff like that. No, probably not. Probably not as much interesting content out there as you would think, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So here's just a straightforward question: what winter boots do you use?
They are the Solomon Tundra Pros. I just got those last March. I was using my previous boots for years, but they're good. So there you go.
Is it waterproof all day?
Yeah, and they're the high top guys. I don't typically mess with the mids. Yeah, the waterproofing's real good, and they got that more kind of rubbery vibe to them instead of like the Gore-Tex fabric. So I trust them a bit more to not fail.
What about the warm weather?
How are they in warm weather?
No, what about warm weather? Do you change it up to trail runners? You still use
Oh yeah,
boots,
yeah. I'll do
waterproof or
trail
not?
runners. I prefer trail runners, and I've gotten away from like I've experimented with Gore-Tex, but it's just end up with sweaty feet that are worse than walking through water anyway. So yeah, I like lightweight trail runners for those trips where I actually am doing ultralight, or even mid-weight. I actually never wear boots in the summer anymore, even if I'm carrying heavy. Now that I think about it.
I have to post this, Jeremiah. I got to put this up because we talked about it earlier. Our friend Miyagi, he said Sintax77 was an inspiration for us to do the Adirondacks. Drove 16 hours for one day of hiking, then drove home to Wisconsin. That's the guy we were talking about.
I respect that.
He said you were the inspiration for that.
Well done. That is impressive. That's I even I would never push that. That's good.
He's a beast, man. I asked him about like coming camping. Him and his wife are awesome just in general.
Yeah, they
But
are.
I was like, y'all want to come down? I live like right on Lake Cumberland in Kentucky. I was like, come down. Let's just hang out and chill because he's like always doing these FKTs and stuff. And I'm like, bro, I'm not about that. I can't do those like 35-mile, 40-mile days. It's just not happening. So he was like, yeah, we can drive down there. I was like, how far is it? He's like, I don't know, 12, 13 hours or something. I was like, no, you can't drive that far. He's like, it's okay, man. That's just like a day of work in the car. I was like, that is insane. Well, I've driven.
That's Miyagi, man.
Backpacking with Jason and I have driven to Oil Creek in Pennsylvania from Kentucky, and there was a really bad snowstorm, and it took us like 9-10 hours or something like that. I was like, we have to get a hotel on the way. I can't do 9 hours in the car, man.
Especially with bad weather. That's a whole nother ball game.
Stress level gets way higher when you're in bad weather.
That's exhausting. Yeah.
So here's a question for you about one of your videos. Was the eerie voice on your Quahana Trail video part of your editing?
I do not believe there are ghosts in that video.
That's funny, man. Something that John and I were talking about earlier, and if people don't know, maybe because some of our listeners are not YouTube at all. Like they don't ever watch YouTube videos. They're like, hey, found this podcast. I like it. I like to listen. So if they're not familiar with you, I wanted to let them know that you have this fantastic resource that John was showing me before we come on air tonight. And before we run out of time, I definitely want to talk about it. So, this is your website, obviously. Can you tell us a little bit about it and what inspired that and what all it has on there?
Yeah, so it's basically just every time I do a trip video, I'll put up, I guess you could call it a blog post. And the reason I started it really was you just can't get that in depth. And I try to do good video descriptions to give people the logistics and a little background and where the trailhead is and all that. And you can only go so far in the description section on YouTube. So I just put together a little WordPress site years ago. And that way I can insert the maps. And then each trip, I'll record the GPS data. And I've been doing that for years, since before, the phone apps and all that stuff have made it a lot easier. But so you can download the GPS data, play along from home, all that stuff.
Yeah, I found this a couple years ago. I can't remember where it was I was going to hike, but you had done a trip and you mentioned in the video something about that. It wasn't a trip video. I think you were doing like some kind of like outdoor vitals jacket thing or something.
Okay.
And you mentioned something about one of your trips and there being GPS files or something. And so I found your website and was able to find all the GPS files and stuff on where everything was, and it helped me out a ton.
Well, good. Yeah, I had some people reach out and say that it was helpful. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a small percentage of my viewers that nerd out that hard. But that's just something I like to put out there for them.
And for those that are just listening to the podcast, if you go on and you're watching on YouTube, John is showing it right now on the screen, like all the different stuff that's on there. That's insane, man. So basically, for the GPS data, do you plan that ahead of time and upload it, or is it like literally tracking you like somebody that is doing an FKT and they're using like a spot or something like that?
Yeah, it's true. I'll do a lot of pre-trip planning and make tracks for myself, but the data, unless something goes wrong and I have to recreate it, yeah, the data is actual, like the real-time data, like someone would use for an FKT. Only in my case, it's embarrassing because you can see all of my actual times, and you go, "Oh, he's going 0.8 miles per hour for 3 hours."
I'm totally down with that, man. I would hike with you any day if you're hiking like that. No problems at all, man.
You soak in the views that way. That's my excuse.
So, what do you feel about GoNex gear?
So, I hadn't heard of them before, but I always trust a man that's sponsored by a company that they stand behind. So, I think I'm going to have to try it out. I'm going to go on Amazon and I'm gonna get it. Unless one of the other differently named brands that look just like it are $1 cheaper, then I might go for Flownex or Ronex, but we'll see.
That bus was heavy, bro. It rolled right over me. I saw I don't know who asked it earlier. They were asking like about your day job. Are you comfortable sharing what field or career that you're a part of, or maybe you do YouTube full time? I don't know.
No, I work from home. My wife and I both do, which is nice. It's just boring accounting work, pretty much. There's not much more to say about it than that.
So no aspirations for producing more content or more monetarily valuable content and doing that full time any time in the future?
Yeah, maybe depending on the opportunities and stuff that come along. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious. A lot of people aspire for that, but oftentimes whenever your goal starting out on something is like, how can I make a buck off this? You really lose your passion for it. And the way
Correct.
you discovered it, filming and backpacking like at the same time, your head's in the right space.
Yeah, I feel for the people that get into it with the goal of I'm going to be a YouTuber, because that's a hard road, and it's way worse now. I wouldn't make it now if I started now. I honestly, I only got the little bit of traction and following I did because nobody was doing it in 2012. I mean, a few people were. That's what inspired me, but there was like 4 of them. You know, now there's 40 every day. It feels like, which is good, but I mean, the competition is ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say too, like there's something to be said for being the last one standing, because there were a lot of people doing it, but they're not still doing it. And
That's
I
true.
think I think that says a lot is the endurance to stick it out. You've been doing this for so long now, and you're still going strong, and that says a lot about just how much you must love doing it. Because if you didn't love doing it, there's no reason why you would still be doing it after 10 years.
No, no, I could probably find more lucrative things to do with my time, but it wouldn't be as fun.
That's the truth. So, backcountry exposure, Devin Ashby's on here, and he says, of your Utah trips, which area have you enjoyed the most? Zion, Canyonlands, or Bryce?
Hmm. All right, Zion Canyonlands or Bryce? Now, Bryce, we just day hiked, so that wouldn't be a backpacking trip. But man, that place blew my mind. It was just awesome. But I think just for pure quirkiness, I think my favorite of those 3, soft spot in my heart, is Canyonlands. That place is just weird in a good way. I mean, like all the weird formations. I mean, it's like Mars. I don't know if either of you guys have been out there. But it's awesome. Yeah.
So,
We
I was
wanted
gonna
to
say,
go out west, but you know, with the pandemic, we had to
yeah,
cancel the trip. But we're gonna get out there.
and we were
Yeah.
supposed to be out there last June, and everything kind of went to COVID. So, you know how that
Little bit.
goes.
Yep, I do.
So hopefully this fall, and that's just kind of I don't know when exactly, but hopefully this fall at some point we'll get out there and be able to enjoy it. Any plans to come back to the Red River Gorge? I'd like to know about this too, because if you do, I know 2 guys who are on a show with you right now who would love to come hiking with you.
That would be cool. And now I know you. We're friends. You're not just a stranger on the internet, so it's all good.
Right, right.
I would definitely do that again. I've been there twice. I went once the first time, very early on, and then with Mike and his wife and my wife. Yeah, I will go again, although maybe I'd have to pick your guys' brains because I feel like, and it is, I think that is 11-hour drive for me, which I'm fine with, but I feel like it's an amazing and beautiful area, but I kind of, at least the real trails, I feel like I've covered everything in those 2 trips. But there's probably some off the beaten path stuff that I'm completely overlooking. So yeah, I would
Guaranteed.
not give up going back there.
Yeah, guaranteed there's some stuff you don't know about that we could show you probably.
Yeah,
And
man.
Well,
Let
you
us
know,
show
there's a
you around.
culture of not sharing that stuff on the internet too. So that's probably why I don't know about it.
probably. But you would enjoy it, that's for sure. You would definitely enjoy it. Let's see here. Any more? Oh, here we go. Do you use an external mic with your GoPro?
Nope. Nope. Maybe on a rare occasion, if I'm super far away from the camera, I used to bring an actual Zoom audio recorder, and then I just started using my cell phone. Like, let's say the shot's really far away, and I'm gonna have to really push the levels in post, and you get all that noise floor and everything. But no, that GoPro of mine is completely stock. The only thing I do is a lot of hours in post of smoothing the levels out.
I'm curious, and we mentioned this a little bit about hiking with strangers. I'm
Mhm.
sure you, like many of us, get invites and comments about hiking or backpacking with somebody who, I mean, their name is basically anonymous 1234, right?
Right.
So, how do you typically go about handling those, and do you get them often?
I get them fairly often, and most of them are very friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And to anybody who sent it, I appreciate it, and I'm sure you're a great person. It's not even me necessarily being like scared of like it ending up being a weirdo or something, but I am in real life pretty introverted and shy. So the idea of well, I mean, heck, my favorite person to hike with besides my wife is alone by myself, if that says anything. But the idea of meeting a brand new person and then hopping right into a backpacking trip gives me that's an anxiety situation for this guy.
I can
So
imagine.
yeah, other than when I went with Kyle Hates hiking, and then I went with Ricky, who he had the cancer thing going on. Those are the only real exceptions I've ever made, but it's nothing personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have
I'm
any
right there with you.
non-US trails on your backpacking bucket list?
Oh God, yeah, I can't wait to get back out of this country again. We were on a a plan of we were going to do 3 countries a year, and we actually hit it. I want to say maybe at least 1 year, 2 years in a row. We were on a roll. I just love getting out there and see different countries. And then, of course, now nobody will have us because of the pandemic and everything. So this year's been tough. But backpacking wise, I don't know. I mean, we went to Norway and really liked it, and Iceland. I like the Scandinavian countries a lot. I think that would be my MO if I was going to do a backpacking trip.
Yeah.
But so far, I haven't actually hauled all my gear out there and done that. It just seems like a whole nother thing to tackle. But one of these days,
I would love to get to Norway, man. Like I see video from Norway, and it's just like my eyes are like popping out of my head at the views out there and everything. So I get that, the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, we did an RV in Norway and day hikes, and it was
yeah. I was curious about what the gear would have to be like for there. I know some people travel to other countries and do backpacking. My wife and I are wanting to do the Camino de Santiago, but that's not really like backcountry. It's a little bit different. I was curious. Yeah, it goes town to town pretty much in the backcountry and then the front country. But I was curious about like what kind of gear changes you would even have to do some of that backpacking in other countries.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing is that I've learned from the backpacking trips I've done flying in the States, is if you are into ultralight backpacking, it actually makes packing pretty easy because all your stuff is lightweight and small, so it's really not that bad. You just have to get some fuel over there.
My number one fear is always like that they'll lose my bag.
Oh, yeah.
So you show up and you're like, well, I'm screwed. I mean, it happened to John. He was doing Kilimanjaro.
Yeah,
and they lost his bag.
Yeah, I was on my way to Tanzania, and I got to the airport, and it was like midnight, and I go to customs, and they let me know that my backpack's gone. Well, not my bag. I mean everything, because when you do that, you're literally going from summer to Arctic weather in the span of 5 to 7 days. Over that time. And so I get there and I asked them, I said, so what's the deal? And they said, well, we'll email Kenya to see if we can find so I was like, email? Email? Somehow, man, apparently in Africa, email is the best way to contact people because my stuff was there the next day. And I got it.
You got it back.
Literally, we left the hotel on our way to the base of the mountain and stopped at the airport on the way just hoping that all my gear was going to be there.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun. I wish I would have thought to video all of that because that would have been a great video, but I wasn't even thinking about that stuff back then. Carlson Adventures wants to know, you want to go hiking?
Please email me. I'll get right back to you after the show with a polite email back.
Well, Sean, here's a question for you. We're at the 58-minute mark. We've literally been going about an hour.
Wow.
If you want to keep going, we can keep going. But if you're ready to call it quits,
I don't know. You got a few more.
Okay, because
you're tired. Bail.
Awesome. Well, everybody who's online, if we don't get your question, there are a lot of questions. So we're doing our best to try and get as many out as we can.
Yeah.
But please don't be offended if we happen to miss your question. It's definitely not one of those things where we're skipping over anybody. It's just they're going so fast, it's kind of hard to keep up with them. All Things Outdoors is want to know, what hiking channels do you like to watch, and what's your favorite cocktail on the trail?
You may not believe it. I don't really watch other hiking channels. I don't. There's a couple reasons. I used to, obviously, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
First starting. But at this point, I kind of avoid it just because I don't want to subconsciously be influenced by anybody else's styles. So I'd rather not know. I kind of got my own creative groove going on. So I don't want to start watching other videos and being like, oh, I could be doing that, or, that's a good idea, and this and that. And then the other thing is, honestly, like, it's my whole world is making these videos. So like, if I go to YouTube and want to blow off steam, like, it's going to be, like something completely stupid cat videos or dangerous airplane landings.
Absolutely. Well, here's a question that kind of goes along with that. Have you ever watched the homage video about you by Evan's backpacking videos? I don't know if you've heard about. I've actually watched this. Evan is he's a through hiking backpacker.
Okay.
He's done the Benton Mackay Trail and the Sheltowee Trace, and he did the AT a couple years ago. And Evan, in one of his videos, basically showered you with love. Like, your videos have been an inspiration for him for a long time, and he's got a big following. But he literally was all about Sintax77 in that video.
No, but maybe I'll have to check it out now. It breaks down the formula. Oh no, I'm giving away the secret sauce.
Well, if you're ever feeling bad about yourself, just find that video and you're going to feel real good about yourself by the end of that. I promise.
Good.
Evan,
I promise.
That's Evan Schaefer, right?
Yeah.
He has an Instagram called Backpacker Comics that I follow. That's what you need to check out. I mean, check out his videos and stuff too. But his Instagram, on point, man. He makes these little, I don't know if he draws them on trail or what, but makes these little backpacking comic strip things. Hilarious, funny, pertinent. And like, I think you can buy them too. Like, if you want them printed and him to draw it or whatever, you can pay him through Insta and do that.
Yeah, he's like a lawyer. He's an artist. He writes all the music for his videos. I mean,
really does. Wow.
He's just one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like, he's good at everything. He's good at everything. Hey, by the way, this just popped up. Congrats on over 100,000 subs.
Thank you very much. I know we finally made it to that.
Nice. So you'll be getting that nice little plaque from YouTube, won't you?
I mean, I hope so. That's funny. My wife just asked me today, and I was like, I don't know. And she was like, it's been 3 weeks since you hit it, and they said somebody reviews it after a week. So I don't know. It's not automatic anymore. It's apparently at their discretion after a human reviews your channel. So here comes my background check. For God knows what they're going to find over the course of my last 10 years. So we'll see if I get that button or not.
That's just funny. Well, it'd be cool to see that hanging behind your head right there in your things, right up there above your screens, which you have 4 of them. We noticed this earlier. You have 4 computer screens.
Yeah, I wanted you to tell us like a little bit of your workflow with the 4 screens, because I do dual monitors. I got something over here, something over there.
So I'll be honest, the 4th one is just because I had an extra monitor, and this card will run 4 monitors. I rarely use this one, but believe it or not, I do occasionally. I definitely use all 3. That's no problem, because my video editor alone is 2 screens. So this one over here will have like a web browser on it with maps or my map software. So I can look at that while I'm editing, get an idea spatially of where I am. And once in a blue moon, I might put some sort of reference or Photoshop on the 4th monitor, but little excessive, but why not?
No, that's not excessive at all, man. Did you build a PC that goes along with that?
Yeah, I did. Well, yes and no. I have built my own PCs before, but I did one of those things where somebody custom built it at a shop for me. Just gave them the parts list. It's actually 9 years old, but I've kept it alive.
Wow.
There's nothing really left original in it except for the CPU. I swapped the video cards like 3 times at this point, added more RAM. It's Frankenstein.
Nice.
That's cool too, though. Not to change the subject, but John told me earlier that you're not just backpacking, you're into the outdoors just in general. And I was curious, how often do you get a chance to get out and do something like hunting or fishing, or besides hiking?
Yeah. No, I hunt with my dad. He lives downstate Delaware. So we got a lease down there. We'll do deer hunting and turkey hunting. And then we have a cabin in north central, I guess you'd call it, Pennsylvania. And we'll do, at least hunting wise, a spring and a fall trip. We'll go up for deer in the fall, and we'll do turkey in the spring. And I think I might go to North Carolina and try that out next year too.
Did you get any deer this year?
I did not.
Oh,
I didn't. I passed up a couple does.
I'm disappointed, man. I'm just really disappointed.
If I really just wanted some meat, I could have done it. But I was holding out for a decent buck, and just did not happen.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, here's a question for you from one of our youngest viewers. This is our buddy Odin on the trail. And he wants to know, do you ever come to Tennessee to go backpacking?
Yes, I've done, I can't believe the name of the area escapes me right now. Although it's been a couple years. Big something.
Big South Fork.
Big South Fork?
Yeah. Yeah, I did that.
Hey, that's my homeland.
All right, well then you'll have to give me some tips, because I went there, but like apparently some people were saying that I could have done a better trail to really get a representation of the area. I enjoyed it, but apparently I left a lot on the table, so I'll have to go back there as one of these days.
There's a lot of trails in the Big South Fork, man. So you're not going to hit them all the first trip. No way.
Yeah.
No way at all. You mentioned that you started out watching YouTube channels, and somebody wants to know, what were the channels that inspired you back in the day?
Okay. So one of them wasn't all backpacking. In fact, he was like an outdoor and like a knife and gun review channel called Nut and Fancy. He's still around. And like I said, he was mostly like tabletop review channel. But back then, I think he's kind of gotten out of it. I didn't see anybody else doing this. He was putting up like 45-minute, hour plus long videos just showing his backpacking trips, putting a little music in there. He was like one of the first I ever saw doing it. So it was him. And then the other one for the old schoolers out there was his screen name was Tuts999. And his actual name is escaping me. Do you guys remember or know him? He was from the New England area.
Tuts999 doesn't ring a bell.
No,
I don't know that one.
But he was one of the first people I saw that would do what I'm doing now, which is walking around with the camera pointed back at yourself and running your mouth on the trail. So those are the two that I ripped off the most.
When are you going to do one of those crazy backpacking hunting trips like they do out in Colorado? You got to cut and return, carry out a hindquarter here.
Backpack with the quartered elk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's a whole nother level right there. It might be outside of my budget too. I think you gotta I'm not doing that without a guide.
You can do it, man. And like you usually have to raffle, but due to the pandemic, like all the tags, there's still tags available. You can go this year if you want to.
What's that?
You can go this year if you want to, but there's a whole nother level of physical fitness that I'm not capable of.
No, that's what I'm saying. I probably couldn't handle it, honestly. Yeah, hauling an elk out on my back over a mountain ridge, like that's some real.
While filming yourself at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got to film myself too.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 12,000 feet.
At 12,000 feet.
Yeah.
Can't breathe.
Oxygen. I'll be just fine.
So somebody has a question for all of us. What is the coldest you will go backpacking in?
As cold as I can get it. That doesn't mean I'm going to like it, but I'm up for the challenge. The coldest I've done is -25. So I want to know what -30 feels like.
Wow.
I've never been below 0. I would say like 10 to 15 degrees.
Well, Shug, when you guys talk to him, he's the king of that. He blows me out of the water for the cold weather stuff up there where he is. But it is painful. I mean, at least for me, because I don't do. If I lived in those areas, like people right now are going to be like, it ain't that bad. But like I've heard people say that once it's below 0, like the difference between -10 and -25 it's all just cold. I would say that's completely not true, because I can tell you that like if it's -10 and then it gets to the point where you take your glove off to do a task and it just feels like it got slammed in a car door, and then you check you check your thermometer and sure enough it's dropped 15 degrees. Like it's painful if you're not covered up.
And if it's windy, it's like 10 times worse.
Dangerous.
Yeah, 10 times worse. I think the lowest I got, I think, well, I guess Kilimanjaro would have been the coldest I got, and that was -30 wind chill. That was the coldest I got. So,
Yeah.
and I'm cool with never doing that again the rest of my life.
Yeah,
So.
when I say into doing the cold weather stuff, I just want to clarify that that would be below tree line in good non-wind conditions, because you can experiment with seeing what -25 feels like, but if you add wind, you are actually endangering yourself. If you're not covered up right, you'll lose skin very quickly.
Yeah, we were at 19,000 feet and 30-mile-an-hour winds, and I'm good to never be in that cold of weather. And the funny thing was, it usually doesn't get like that up there. Like they said, we just happened to get up there at the right time, and we got the really cold trip. Like the next year, guys went up there, it was like 32 degrees and sunny and beautiful, and I'm like, what the heck, man? So here's a question for you. Do people harass you on the trail when you're filming?
Of like for filming, like no, but I typically put the camera away when I see other people.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, well, part of me, I've gotten more used to it, so now I don't care. It used to be like I just felt like an idiot, but now everybody's pointing a phone at themselves and filming. Like I wouldn't look out of place, but I'm just like, you're on a hike. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I just don't feel like running my yap to a camera. I'd rather just be able to say hi and pass by and everything. So typically, people don't know I'm filming it. Even when I hike with people, they've told me that they didn't even realize I was filming half the time because I keep it pretty discreet.
Yeah, I'm a lot like you on that. I feel weird. Like I don't want to annoy people, I think is what it is for me. I'm just like, a lot of times if I'm hiking with another group of people, unless they're like, it's like Jeremiah, I don't care if I annoy Jeremiah. But if it's anybody, if it's other people, I'm kind of like, I'll let them walk on up ahead and I'll just stay back.
Right.
And I'll say something. And the worst is when you're on a really busy trail and you get 2 sentences in and somebody comes up the trail and you got to wait.
Right.
And then you go to start again, 2 sentences in, and here comes somebody else up the trail again. And it takes you 20 minutes to do like a 3-minute whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah, sometimes it's not worth it. And plus I find it usually for the immersiveness to really feel like it's just me and the viewer out on the trail. It gets a little weird to have other people in the shot just randomly appear and then you never see them again. So
yeah.
I'm with you.
Any more cowboy action shooting in your future?
Wow, this person went back to 2011, maybe 10. No, my cowboy action career just never quite took off. Still have the gun.
So,
there you go.
I'm always the Debbie Downer here, but I only got a couple minutes left before I have to go. So before we go, I want you to tell everybody where they can find everything Sintax77 and any way that they can help support you and what you do.
Yeah, I mean, basically on all of the social media platforms, I'm Sintax77, Sintax77. I'm primarily on YouTube though, and then the website, Sintax77.com, is where you can get all that data we were talking about before. There's a link if you want free stickers. Please, I have a ton of stickers. They're free. There's instructions on there. Just send me an envelope and you get a free sticker if you like free stuff. And if you like, spending money on weird t-shirts, I mean, I guess you could do that too by, hitting the t-shirt button. But that's it. I'm on Instagram, but I'm pretty bad at posting, but occasionally.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for being on, man. It's been awesome. If you want to hang out in the green room, we're gonna come back and talk to you here in a second. But
cool.
we're gonna sign out of here, man. Thanks so much for being on the show. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Okay, that was awesome. 100%.
He's a cool
awesome.
guy. It's a cool
and
cat.
You know what's awesome along with that, Jeremiah?
What's that?
Is who's going to be on next week.
Oh yeah, we have another. Look, the live streams are back.
The live
Monday
streams are
nights.
back, people, and I think we're going to go ahead and can we announce the next 2 weeks? Is that okay to do since we got confirmations that they're both going to be good to go?
Yeah, sure.
So next week we have the one, the only Sean Shug Emery is going to be on the show next week. So we have Shug on next week.
Yeah, he's a deep winter specialist like Sintax was talking about.
Yeah.
You know, he knows what's up on the cold weather stuff, so I'm going to pick his brain.
He's a crazy cold weather man, and I cannot wait to get him on here. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then the week after, Jeremiah, why don't you tell everybody who's going to be on the next week?
Bro, if you know, go ahead and tell everybody because I have to look at the calendar because we have so many great guests.
We have
up.
Andrew Skirka is going to be on the next week. So we are super stoked about these next couple weeks. We started off with a bang. It has been fantastic having Sintax on here. I have wondered for 3 years where the heck the name came from. And now that I know, I'm completely let down, but at least I know where the name came from. So that's good. But no, seriously, it's been an awesome show. Jeremiah, you are real close to hitting 10,000 subscribers on the old YouTubes right now.
We're just a pinch close.
You're just about there, man. That's pretty exciting.
Yes.
So
shout out to everybody for all the support. Thank you so
man.
much. We're growing, having fun, just backpacking, learning, man.
Yes, we are. And also, if you're on right now, here's the deal. We're going to continue to do the live streams on our channels until June. And then in June, we're shifting all the live streams only over to the Backpacking Podcast channel. We started them on this channel because nobody knew about that channel. But we're letting you know, starting in June, all podcasts will be on that channel. So if you're not already subscribed to the Backpacking Podcast channel, make sure you guys get on there and get subscribed so you don't miss out. Because, I mean, it's hard to beat Sintax77 as a great guest, first off. But we've got some great guests that are coming up, and it's going to be an awesome season.
Yeah,
awesome season.
If you want to keep enjoying great guests like Sintax77, make sure you subscribe to the Backpacking Podcast YouTube channel.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. For myself and Jeremiah Stringer, we will catch you guys on the next one.
Adios.